This is the stock machine, the VPM9. It has all its original packaging, brand new, unused. It's just been out on display. Full 2-year warranty. That's inside the hopper. You can see the auger paddles, etc. You have your vacuum gauge. If it comes packed, that's off. That needs winding back on. The tube that goes down to the vacuum pump at the back. You have your control panel there with all your switches, etc, etc. So this is the VPM20, slightly bigger machine, same power unit, same kind of operation. I have some clay that's fairly hard, some that's a little bit hard. I have some bone dry. I'm just going to throw that in, and I'm going to I'll break that piece in half. It's a little bit hard. It would probably cope with it, but I don't want to test it too much. It's a matter of the first thing to do is to load the chamber. So if you're using powdered materials, that's obviously a little bit easier. Squidgy stuff from the vacuum chamber. Right, so you can see it's not full up, but it hits the auger paddle. So what we do is we bring that lid down just enough to close the safe switch off, turn it to mix. I've got a plastic sheet over that to keep it clean basically. A little bit of pressure on the handle, drops down, the clay's now worked back. I'll just stop it. Or you lift the lid and the safety switch will cut in anyway. You can't see it, but the chamber is now empty enough to throw more clay in, which I shall continue to do. That's what I would call just too hard to throw, is it's not completely bone dry. I have thrown some bone dry stuff in as well. Same thing again. Just to mix a little bit, just drags it back down through the machine. Usually holds about 10 seconds. If you're a bit more methodical about it and you can force the clay down inside and whatever else, I tend to be a little bit lazy and do it that way. As you can see, there's plenty of holes in this clay, so I'm not throwing in good clay at all. I just lean on the handle just a little bit, just to force it on down. I'm just going to now drag it backwards because it's in mix. So the one advantage with the VPM9 over the 20 takes about 18 kilos, I think it is, to fill it up. That's some perfectly good clay that I need to fill the machine up for, to show what it does. The VPM9, I think it's got a chamber capacity of about 12 kilos off the top of my head. It's on that spec sheet I sent you. Yeah, I'm just filling the machine up. First time you do it, you tend to put a bit more than the batch size suggests, because this area at the front tends to stay full up. So at any stage you could add sand, grog. In fact, I will add a bit of sand into this actually, just to prove my point. So again, down in the bucket, just your classic slot bucket. I've got some dry and some squidge in there. I throw that in. The clay's quite dry, so I'll be quite liberal with that. So again, just working it back into the machine just to make sure we fill the chamber up. As it's starting to fill up now, it doesn't obviously have a space in it, but you get to the point basically where it becomes a little bit of a challenge to close the lid. You're fairly certain then that's full up. this is real sloppy stuff I'm throwing in there. There we go, the lid just falls down as you go in the mix. Just leave it a bit to run back into the machine. So all these seals around here, they supply a couple of plastic scrapers, because you don't want to be using metal tools on the aluminium and or the rubber, obviously, because you need the seal to create the vacuum. The clay creates a pretty good seal, but further, at least see a bit of the rubber. A bit more of this in there. Then we're going to find some sand. Right, so I've just got that's some sand actually that's been sieved out of some local clay. I'm just going to put that in, and I'm just going to throw it in on top, like that. So I've just put a bit in. I mean, I think probably you want to be more scientific about it, I guess. Again, I close it down just enough to start the machine, doesn't need to be all the way down. And you'll see a little bit of pressure. So I'm leaning on that, and then slowly it just forces the clay down into the machine, and the rubber cap falls off. Put that back on. Now that's not closing fully now, so without me leaning on it quite a lot, I take that as a sign that it's pretty full up. So again, put on to mix. Now I need a little bit more pressure on this. That's down, closed. That's now sealed. I'm now going to leave that for about 10 minutes to mix. Right, that's been going about 10 minutes. Been on the phone, so I'm not sure how long exactly. I'm just going to have a quick look, see what the state play is inside. Hopefully we haven't been having what we call a spin. Looks pretty good. So what we got in there now is, let me see that, but we have quite nicely mixed, but not compressed clay. That's pretty good. Now, I think, for my liking, that's just a little bit stiff. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to take a little bit out of this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some water into it. So I'm just going to add water directly in, slightly towards the front of the machine, and little by little. So I'm going to close that down again. So I can't do it one hand. And I'm going to mix it again. If you try to put too much water in one go, what tends to happen is it all ends up in the vacuum chamber. There's obviously a way through. And that's a waste. So I'll give it a little bit of a mix, then I'll add some more. I like my clay nice and sloppy, so I'm going to put quite a bit in. Until I stop. Find the water. Again, just tip a little bit in down the front end of the machine. Give that a bit more of a mix. And I'll go on and do that a bit more and a bit more. Until I'm happy to have another look. This is where it becomes a matter of judgment. I think probably that's enough water in there, so I'm going to go against my gut feeling and put just a tiny bit more in. Right, so I've added quite a lot of water to that, and I'll mix again for another good 5 minutes. Right, so we'll let that mix for a little while again. Let's just have a check, see what the consistency is like. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it's the same kind of thing again, it's just, I don't know if you can really see that on the film. moussey is the way I like to describe it, uncompressed, but it's nicely mixed, it's good consistency. So, once we've got it up to consistency, we check back on the mix again, and we want to de-air it. So we just flick on the vacuum. Very occasionally you might need to lean on that to get the vacuum to click in. What you can't see from there is this vacuum gauge is now going up to whatever 30 means. I don't know if that's minus 30 atmospheres, I have no idea. Once that stabilises, and obviously the mixing idea is just keep churning it around so the air's coming out of it. Once that needle stabilises, we then look to pug it. So we stop it, the vacuum pump still goes. They recommend that you turn the speed right down, turn the pug, and we start. Because we can get very occasionally, as it starts to kick out, it'll break an airlock and then the air will rush back in. So what you need to do in that event is suck the clay back in with the vacuum on. Now I'm just very slowly increasing the speed. Now if I don't get a drop in pressure, it's not pressure is it, if I don't get a drop in vacuum, it's all good. So far so good. Increasing the speed. It's the point where I find I've got it too wet and it won't come out at all. There you go, there's a drop in pressure, so we're going to bring that back down, stop it, put it back in the mix, bring that back in, and we'll re-establish the vacuum. Once it has done, stop, low power, plug, and start again. So slowly increasing the speed. So I've just got a bit of drop in pressure again, I'm going to bring that back in. Very often find that the first plug that comes out needs to go back in the machine. Only about that much. So I'll switch that back to plug again. And we'll go with this time. Space. Eventually that cap will pop off and the clay comes with it. And you find that the stiffer you make your clay, and obviously that's down to your preference, the less faffing around you have with this air, because I've got it very, very soft. So once that cap's come off and the vacuum's there, you can go full power and we're off basically. Stick that there. There you can see it apart from my finger marks, but that is a smooth sounded piece of clay. So stop it, release the pressure, or let the air back in, should we say, we're not releasing pressure. And then what you'll find, although I can't lift the camera up, I can put my hand in there. That's now, for all intents and purposes, that chamber is empty. Obviously you get bits in there, but that's empty. That's job done. Ready to go again.